Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, aka Goody, and with me is my old man, aka the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. Chef Curry, 8 of 14 from 3, including 4 deep bombs in a 2-minute stretch. When France had, at that point made it close and made it a game, and then it was all culminated by that absolute golden dagger, shout to Noah Eagle, over a double team with just over like 30 seconds to go to put Wemby and the Frenchies to bed. Talk to me, big guy. How do we feel about our boys securing the gold, and was this an all-time moment in sports history?
Listen, we got to be happy as a nation that they won, that they came through, that they did what we all expected them to do. Anything less for America is just not satisfactory. And
Dad, you
when
always say that so matter-of-factly as far as,
we
basketball in
lost before, and
America.
it was terrible. I mean,
I
everybody was upset. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but we can maybe dig into this a little bit later, but I do want to talk about is that thought process and the way that you feel about it, is that something that is going by the wayside? And
Yeah,
as
I mean,
these
it's a concern. I mean, obviously, these guys are very good. I mean, France is a good team. They're good. Think about it. They're going to have the best player in the world 4 years from now. There's no doubt about that, right? As long as we're all living, right?
right, right.
Um, I mean, hey, they're good, man. This is what we did by globalizing the sport. It's great for competition. I love it, but I realize, listen, if we start losing consistently, where we don't win the gold consistently, like 2, 3 Olympics in a row, listen, man, that's gonna be that's gonna be distressing to say the least. I mean,
We were quite distressed when it happened, when
yes,
when you had LeBron's and his boys going out there and not getting it done, losing to, I think they lost to Greece, who didn't have like one NBA player on the team at that point. So yeah, no, we've seen what can happen, but I always say that was more about disinterest from the top talent across the board back then, and then once we got with the redeemed team and Kobe coming back, we got reinvigorated, and since then we always send our best teams, but the
yeah.
margin's obviously getting closer and closer, and sooner or later we're not going to be able to just think it's a shoe-in that we're going to go over there and come back with the gold.
Well, that's true, but that said, all of that said, I'm still betting U.S. for at least the next 2 or 3 Olympics. I think, come on. I mean, yeah, France might come up, Serbia might come up, but those are just mites. Come on, U.S. for the next two
Well,
or three, easy.
well, well, you heard what Wemby said. Wemby dropped 26 and 7 in the game, and afterwards he seemed to have a bit of a salty discharge coming from his eyes as the U.S. team was celebrating. And but he did say after the game, "I'm learning, and I'm worried for the opponents in the next couple years." When asked if he meant FIBA or the NBA, he replied, "Both."
That's right. He should feel that way. I mean, come on, man. That guy should be supremely confident. He's that good a ball player. Seems to be in control of himself, both on and off the court. Yeah, he's a burgeoning, not even superstar. There's got to be a bigger word than that for him. I mean, come on, man. That guy's got to be amazing.
Yeah, Wemby is definitely the future, but let's talk about the present. Let's talk about our guy, Chef Curry. I mean, come on, man. Oh,
He's the
what
guy.
a performance. That stretch that he had, that shot that he had. You and I were lucky enough to watch that together. And he's being double teamed. Fournier comes over to help. Of course, if Fournier is playing defense, and that means it's probably going to be a bucket. And he then takes a side step and puts up that three, just in an absolute impossible shot. The shot that no other player can take and have it look like a good shot. But when it's Steph, especially if he's hot, it's always a good shot, no matter where he is in the
Unreal.
gym. The other players, the Bronze and the Durants of the world, were deferring to him at that point. I went back and I rewatched it, and they're just kicked like hot potato. Just get it back to him. Get it back, Steph. Get it back, Steph. And even the stuff that they're doing off ball is trying to get him the rock at that point. That was so fucking cool, man. It was really, really cool. And I've heard a lot of people today talk about how it's one of the greatest moments they've ever seen in sports, from Breeny to Perk to so many. And you take a step back, and it's hard to. Everybody's always a prisoner of the moment, but man, it
Hmm.
was one of those things where you'll always remember where you were when you saw it. I was, texting certain people and being like, wow, that was unreal. I mean, everybody was just blown away. And it's just such a cool culmination for a guy like Steph, who has just been all around good guy, has all the accolades. One thing he doesn't have is this. And then he has a tough tournament. He has a
Yeah.
tough tournament at first. He's 5 of 20 from behind the arc going into that semifinal game against Serbia. He has 9 threes in the game against Serbia. He puts up 36 points. And then he follows that up with 8 in the final game. And, an absolute just unreal performance to close it out. Very, very cool for Steph. Cool for us to get to watch it. I guess it was cool all around.
Yeah, no. Listen, the law of averages caught up with the last two opponents that, you don't want Steph to be off the first two game and coming at you the third
Yeah.
game. But listen, good for him, man. I'm happy for him. I don't think I'm quite as gaga over it, but I mean, it was a great moment for Steph, great moment for the
What do you
country.
mean you don't think you're quite as gaga over it?
I'm
What are you
not.
trying to
I
say?
wasn't. I honestly, until you just said that, I wasn't thinking one of the greatest sports moments ever. Those thoughts never crossed my mind. It's just me.
I can't remember another time where the US in basketball has had such a dramatic gold medal game.
All
The
very
last one
true.
against France was fairly dramatic, but this one seemed a little bit more, and it was one of the greatest shooter of all time, and some people say the greatest point guard of all time, and definitely one of the 5 to 10 greatest players of all time, being able to be the guy who closes that out. I think that when you take a step back, you have to say, like, yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess you didn't feel that way in the moment, and then, I mean, even on looking back on it, where would you?
I'm
It's
looking
to
back
you, it's
on it.
not
I think it
even.
was pretty cool. It was great. It was awesome. You know, I don't know. I'm not. I'm not like. I mean, I. You know, where was I when this moment happened? I'm not ready to go that far.
Well,
I'll
truth
remember
be
it because I was
told,
with you. But
you were also
other than
dozing
that,
off a little bit at
yeah,
certain
there you
points in the
go.
second
No,
half.
but I had woken up. I had woken up by that point. I'd woken up. I was watching the game when Steph hit that shot, and the last couple minutes. But
No, you definitely were awake for that. I remember.
yes, but hey, it was great. I'm just a little bit more of a stoic, so maybe that's all it is.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was really cool. I thought overall, I thought the reactions afterwards, everything that we've seen, coming from Steph specifically and all of them has been pretty cool.
Hmm.
LeBron wins the MVP of the tournament, averages 14, 7, and 9.
Yeah,
Happy for Bron. Bron did his thing. He played well. He was certain
they did.
points, certain games where he carried them, and he was always had his fingerprints on everything that was happening offensively and defensively. You know me. I'm definitely not I'm not a Bron hater, but I don't love LeBron like some other people do. But I was very happy for him, and I thought it was cool. He's got the gray beard now. His hair looks better. It's been a process
Just
for
for
Bron.
men.
It's been no,
I know, I know, I
I don't know what Brown is using, but he's got a process for. What I noticed is that Brown has the fade come all the way up high on the top of his head, so it's like that balding spot. He keeps it still low up to there. It's almost like a taper all the way from the bottom up to there. Then it just starts to get dark in the front where he has some hair. It's working for him. I saw his son Bryce when he came up to him after the game. LeBron was getting interviewed, and Bryce came up on the side of him and patted his dad's hair down like this. And they did a little handshake or whatever. How does how many handshakes does LeBron have memorized in his life right now?
I don't know how you remember each one for each person. How do you not get confused and do the wrong
Dad, he
one?
has one for. I used to think this about Jose Reyes back in the day.
Hmm.
One of the reasons I fell in love with my wife is because soon after we got together, we were watching a Mets game, and after somebody did something, I went to high five her, and we did a Reyes handshake, and she had memorized it just from watching it. She's a dancer, so she's good at memorizing choreography. But it was I knew right then that she was clearly the one,
Hmm.
and
She's the one.
yeah, but Bron, man, I mean, it seems like every team he's ever played for, he has a handshake with every single player. And when I see these guys, and they don't play on the same team anymore, they walk up to each other and they still do a handshake. And he
Yeah,
has them with all his family members and friends and whatnot. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
it's insanity that he can remember all these handshakes.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I have one with your son, and that's the only one I know.
I see.
And he and I had to rehearse it yesterday because I had forgotten.
I have
So
I
had
have
he, though.
ones. I have ones with the kids, but I have to, and I have a couple handshakes. I have a handshake with my boy Chris. I have a handshake with my boy Chad. But with both of those, all of them, I have to stop and think for a second. LeBron, clearly that guy can remember and recall things that happened on a basketball court and handshakes that he's made with people better than anyone has ever been able to in the history of the world.
Yeah, no individual handshakes for me here. Just with the frat.
All right, so Gershon Yabusele.
Yeah, right. Baby, yeah, he was pretty good.
You said he looked like Ben Wallace. First of all, he's taller than Ben Wallace. He's taller than Ben Wallace,
That's
and
amazing.
he's way more skilled than Ben Wallace. It's just as
Yes,
far as his ability to handle the ball, shoot the ball at 6'8", 6'9". He absolutely posterized Braun at one point.
that was awesome.
Braun stepped in and tried to
That was
take the
awesome.
charge, and that guy put his knees in Braun's chest and threw it down on him, yo. Listen,
Ooh,
man. Hey, if that
Prince
game we end
style.
up losing that game, that becomes a much more iconic moment. That becomes, like
Ooh,
a picture that they're
yeah,
flashing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like
That could have been ugly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That no, that good. But listen, I thought overall, France gave a good showing. I'm glad that they at least made it close in the second half, though. Obviously, clearly, I was rooting for the U.S. to win. I thought Booker was solid once again. He had
Hmm.
15 points.
Hmm.
Durant was okay. He hit some shots, but he didn't shoot a great percentage overall. Obviously, all comes back to Steph. Steph was the man. Tatum was able to get a few minutes, not a ton. I was watching. I watched the end earlier today with Steph and watched the last sequence, and I was watching Jason Tatum on the bench, and he was not happy, man. I'm sorry, but he just wasn't. There was times they were showing, and Durant's like doing like this. Even Halliburton's, all excited. Halliburton had a very, very funny tweet where he
I
put up
saw it.
when you get an A on the test, when you get an A on the project, but you didn't do any work.
On the
But
group project. But did you see how Mikhail Bridges responded?
I did not see that. No.
Yeah, okay. Mikhail's
What
our guy.
what did he
He
say?
responded. He put it up, and on the bottom he said, "I hate this." That's what we want to see.
See,
That's
yeah,
what we
he's
want to
already
hear.
he's already a Nick. He already bleeds orange and blue. Our guy McHale.
Yeah,
But
Tatum. I mean, listen, Nick. You know what's the best thing about this whole thing, this whole Olympic thing, is that he is. It's egoless, man. You got to be done with the ego thing. And I get it. There's still some ego involved, and there is a hierarchy. Jason Tatum's not that guy, but now next Olympics, Jason Tatum's going to be that guy. Because I mean, stop. LeBron does not need to be in the next Olympics. Steph is going to be 40 himself. LeBron's going to be
Right,
43.
nothing's promised. He was the second best player on last year's Olympics, so nothing is promised. And,
Nothing is promised is what? Oh,
he,
Tatum.
Tatum, he was the second
Yeah,
best
but
player on
those
last
guys
year's
are just going
Olympics.
to age out, is what
I
I'm
know,
saying,
but
Nick.
I'm saying
He's
if
going to
you
be
were
the
the
guy.
second best last time and then this time you barely play, you can't assume that you're going to be the guy next time. That would be foolish, I would think.
He'll be the guy. And you know what, man? When you walk into one of those Olympic teams, you have to be able to usurp your ego, depending on whatever the coach decides, and get over it, man. There's
Yeah, he
only
can get
certain. There's
over it.
like three guys on that team who there's no way they're not going to get minutes, and that's Bron, Steph, and Durant. Everybody else on that team, depending on the moment, what's his name might be like Kerr might be. No, he's not running tonight. And if that's the case, you just got to get over it, man. This is the Olympics. Olympics. No, just Olympics.
So I feel like if I'm him, I'm pissed just because of the competitive nature that I have.
Sure,
And
sure.
also,
Okay.
I think
But
it's
get over
hard
it.
to argue that he's not one of the best 10 players in the world, let alone on Team USA. And I don't
Okay.
care about the matchups or whatever. And we got to bring up the fact that he immediately stopped getting minutes after he had some supportive comments about Jaylen Brown. And there
Maybe.
is the entire, conspiracy there. Shout to my man Chop for putting me onto that. I kind of poo-pooed it at first. And you know me, I love a good conspiracy so for me to say, I'm not sure. But the more I look into it, there's something to it. And I kind of feel like there may be something there. But the question is, for Knick fans, is will this lead to him being extra motivated and coming into this season with, just a scorched earth mentality, even though he was an NBA champion last year and has been an
Okay.
first NBA
All right.
team player all his
Yeah.
years? Or is there a chance that
Way too much.
him coming in now, and he's got kind of a side eye for White? and Jaylen Brown does too, and somehow that starts some sort of infighting, and the entire thing up in Boston implodes.
That could happen. He could get a very bad bunion. I don't know. I mean, let's just make up anything and let's run with it. That what could happen.
No, this has
Ah,
legs. This has legs. I'm not
this
just
not has
making
does
this
not have
up.
legs.
This is based on the things that we see in front of us. It's a plausible scenario.
Pure conjecture.
Sure, sure. But I mean, what are we doing here? I still think this team has no chance to beat the dream team.
No, I don't think so. No, the dream team. I think the dream team's too strong up front. If not, if anything else, who did the dream
David
team have?
Robinson, Patrick
David.
Ewing, Carl
This is
Malone.
this is what I'm saying. No, no. Those guys
They
are
would
too
bludgeon these cats.
strong. They would
AD
bludgeon
played.
them.
AD played well.
They would bludgeon them, man. But no, these guys couldn't handle those guys, man. Inside, outside. Inside, mid range. Too much. No. And then, I mean, stop it, Jordan. I mean, Jordan, Pippen. Come on.
That's what I'm
Do I
saying.
need to
Is
say
like
anything else? I
you
mean,
put like a
stop.
Jordan on a Curry, and then
Yeah.
you have
And then
Jordan on
Curry
Curry.
cannot touch Jordan. I mean, I don't know who's holding Jordan. I guess Anthony Edwards would have to try to hold Jordan, right?
Anthony Edwards would be trying to hold some Jordan. Braun would be trying to hold some Jordan at certain times.
No,
I'm
he's not
sure
fast enough.
Devin Booker would have to
Yeah.
try
Booker.
to
That'll
hold
be interesting.
Jordan at certain times. But I think that listen. I think Jordan's giving it to any of them for all for
Pippen
different
versus
reasons.
Braun would be awesome.
Who?
Pippen versus Braun.
Oh, Pippen versus Braun would be awesome. It
Oh,
really would be.
man.
Yeah,
Those
Pippen
two.
Brogan. Yeah, it would be. It would be. That would be a lot of fun.
Wow.
And then, also, who was another person I think would do a really good job of guarding Steph? John Stockton. Because
Yeah?
because he's just as tall as him. It's not like
Mhm.
Steph is like crazy quick or anything like that. And John Stockton is that guy who runs forever. So he's running through all them screens. He's staying with him. He's staying close to him,
Yeah.
and he's doing some dirty shit too. And this is them Olympic rules, man. Where you see it, like these cats grabbing all that shit.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
let
definitely.
Stockton do that, Stockton's gonna do some dirty shit. He was notorious for shit like that.
I
He's
think
doing
I
some.
think I think
I think
Steph
Steph
I
still
think
gets it.
Steph cooks him. Yeah, I
I
think
don't.
Steph
No, I
cooks
don't. I don't think Cook's it. I think Stockton's a good matchup for Steph as far as a guy that can guard him. Just because I don't think Steph gets bothered by length as much as some others. I think a lot. I've seen before previously. A lot of people try to put length on him, and it doesn't bother him as much. He gets bothered more by like the small guy who can just stay close up to him under his chest. But with that being said, nothing bothers him too much because
him.
he's
Really,
that
he's
guy.
Steph, man. He's the chef.
So Olympics have closed up. They're all done. The U.S. dominated 126 medals, including 40 golds. China was second with 91. The women's hoop team, they won a nail biter, 67-66, only won by 1 point. We
Mm.
beat France in women's basketball as well. Did you watch that game at all? And what did you think of that being that close? I mean, they've been even more dominant than the men have over
I
the
know.
years, and got very very close to getting silver.
Right. I saw highlights late of that. I actually did not see that game, and I was surprised that it was that close. I really was. If I had any inclination that it was going to be a close game, I would have watched it because I enjoy women's basketball often. But yeah, man, I couldn't believe they only won by one. I mean, if they had lost, that would be a bigger upset than the men.
Yeah,
You know. So yeah, I would have been really surprised there. I mean, the women on the women's team are just wow. I really respect the games like Aja Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart. These women are just like UNESCO. They're just amazing, amazing. So
Ionescu, didn't play until the third quarter, and then when
why?
she
What
was
happened
inserted,
there?
it's a Jason Tatum
Coach's
situation.
decisions. Right,
Yeah,
right.
but no, but she got inserted in the third, and then her and Plum I think they went on a run right at that point where it's kind of like got them to secure the lead. I think they were down by as much as 11 in the third quarter, and
Mm,
then Ionescu came in and she did her thing, but yeah,
UNESCO is a monster.
yes, yes, yes. She's very. Yeah, I love her game. I've loved it since she was since she was in college,
Yeah.
and I also love she gets a lot of love from the male players. Like when I heard Brunson talk about the shoes he wears, he only wears Kobe's and Sabrina's. That's the only shoes he wears.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's gonna
Uh,
get. Well,
go
I had something on the Brunson shoe
go
wear thing.
go.
Brunson, something I read today. He's not going to get a signature shoe by Nike, meaning they won't make Brunsons, but he'll get like A PE shoe? It's something like an off shoe. I don't know what that means exactly, but he'll get some sort of sponsorship by Nike.
Yeah, PE is a player exclusive.
Mm.
So what he'll probably get is he'll probably get like a Kobe player exclusive, where it's like it's a Kobe, but then like they make like a version for Brunson, and
Mm.
it'll probably just be like a colorway that's never been before. That's probably like going to be Nick colors, hopefully, because I'm so tired of watching players wear shoes that have nothing to do with the jersey at all, which was not
Yeah.
something they did when I was a kid, but they do now. But
Mm.
yeah, maybe Brunson will get some orange and blue PEs and bring that back. But yeah, man, the U.S. obviously they took care of business. That's a good thing. I feel like women's basketball for real. We should not be losing anytime soon.
No,
Women's 4x100 relay. Did you see that one? They did the one where
I did.
Shakari she came back on the final leg and she did the look over as she was going to and then
No, that I missed. I watched the women's 4x400, which was
okay.
amazing. They won by so much. And then the men's 4x400 was also.
Yeah, in the
I
men's, we
like
held off
them.
Botswana. We held off
Yeah,
Botswana.
very
Dominant
impressive.
performance there. Able to, it was very very impressive. To me that it's the decision to like really go for it at the beginning, or do you kick it on? Like there's so
Man.
much strategy there with the 400, especially the relay.
Oh, no, yes. But I mean, even more so, Nick, I'm watching like me and your mom were getting into like the 5,000 meter and the 1,500 meter and the 10,000 meter race. I mean, these guys, the way they're running, how fast they're running, which is about 3 miles, and then they just have to position, and then just break for it. And there's a lot of elbowing, a lot going on. It's very interesting.
Yeah, Shakari on that
She's
four by
amazing.
100 relay. We were back. They say she was back about 3 or 4 meters when she started that last leg, and she just starts booking. And that iconic picture of her just like stepping and like looking back, almost as if she was like the the road runner with the beep beep,
Hmm.
and just it was very very cool. And then Noah Lyles. He gets it done in the 100.
Yeah.
Craziest finish I've ever seen.
Yes.
And then, I got to learn for the first time that it's about the chest, not the foot,
Torso.
not the forehead, the chest, the torso. Yeah, whatever part finishes over that line first.
Hmm.
Then he goes to the 200 and tries to do for the first what's hasn't been done since Carl Lewis in what the 80s,
Hmm.
and then he gets COVID a couple days beforehand. He then goes and runs. The whole thing was kind of weird. I thought it was talked
I
about
thought so.
somewhat, but not talked about as much as I would have expected. And
Yeah.
then, it's like, was it safe for him to go and be around these other people? Some people, including Tyreek Hill, think that he was faking. Tyreek Hill says that Biles was faking, that he wasn't, because there's a lot of beef with Biles and these other athletes because he said they shouldn't be able to be
World
called world
champions.
champions, right?
Right.
And so Tyreek said that he was faking, and Tyreek also said that he thinks that he could beat him in a race. He says he think he beat him in a race, and then after he says he beat him in a race, and afterwards he put on a COVID mask or something. He went on, Tyreek say some wild shit, but
I
but
can see Tyreek saying all that.
what did you think about that, man? What did you think about this guy Lyles? Running in the 200. He had COVID 2 days ahead before time. How exactly
I
does
will
that
tell you,
all
my
work?
initial reaction when I heard it was like, because obviously we all think about, about COVID and so forth, and the thought that, you have it, and then you go around, be around, right around all these people, they don't know. I mean, that's a little bit to me. I don't know. That's kind of not cool. It was my
Everybody's
initial
breathing
thought.
hard. Everybody's
Right.
breathing.
Was my initial thought that, yeah, no, no, no good guy, but I don't know, Nick, maybe it's not a big deal. But so he lost. I mean, my thought is too, Nick, you know how I am on things like this. If you're gonna run the race, you got COVID, you decide you're gonna run the race, you don't win, especially if you don't win, shut your mouth. Thank you. Take your medal and you move on.
But he had to
What
be
did he
like
get? Like a
helped.
bronze?
He got a bronze, but
Right.
he also had to be like helped off of the.
Right,
So
right.
so like was
What
that
is
like
that? A
a
little bit of the Paul Pierce?
right,
Come
little
on,
Jordan flu
you had
game,
all
little
this energy to run 200 meters, and now it's just over. Come on,
Jordan
guys.
flu game? That was your take on the Jordan flu game as well.
I didn't like that act in the
You
Jordan
didn't
flu
like the
game
fact that he
either.
walked, that he had to be carried off by
The,
Scotty. It
the
was
whole
like
thing that that
you
he had
just
his
dropped
arm around
40.
somebody.
It was
Stop,
Scotty. You just
stop,
had 40, bro.
stop.
Come on, man.
You
Like
just had
you
40 exactly.
could walk off under
I-
your own.
If the game was 5 minutes longer, you'd be upright the whole time.
Exactly.
Okay, so you can walk your ass to the locker room. Stop that bullshit. Come on.
All right, so yeah, man, I thought that Noah Lyles, I thought it was definitely a little bit shaky, the whole COVID, then 2 days later thing.
He's a little mouthy for me
He's
personally.
definitely, I mean,
For
yeah, I mean
me,
the whole fight that he picked with like professional American athletes, dog. If anything,
right?
you want to be welcomed by them into their fraternity and be one of those few guys with track and field who's able to be a big star and really make some cheddar out here.
After this, now is anybody bringing you in to throw out a first pitch
No,
or sing an anthem like Lewis?
you know what I'm saying?
Hopefully
You
not
know,
like Carl Lewis, but
maybe Noah's got some pipes. We don't know. We never will know because he's talking that shit.
it'll be better than Carl Lewis. That's for damn sure.
Anybody's better than Carl Lewis. Obviously, our girl, I should say our woman, Simone Biles, absolutely dominated.
Dominant.
Now, did you see that Jordan Childs, that iconic moment that we saw with them paying homage to the Brazilian young lady and who had won the gold, and she had gotten a bronze? They're saying now that she has to give it back. She's being
This
stripped of the medal.
I thought I heard that the U.S. had some proof that they did put something in on time. I'm sorry, I'm
Okay,
not well
so
versed.
this is a little hard to follow. So I'm gonna try to get it right, and then we can maybe talk about it. So she makes the appeal. Her coach makes the appeal, and she makes the appeal that something was scored incorrectly. Then it's immediately changed, and she is then moved up into the bronze position. After that, the next day, the Romanian team makes the appeal that it wasn't within 1 minute. They say the Olympics say we need the medal back. U.S. comes back yesterday and says we have video evidence time stamped that it was submitted within 47 seconds. Olympics comes back today and says, well, this is now too far away from the event, so we can't even look at that time stamped video. So therefore, she loses the medal. Send it back. That I'm telling you, I just read this before, and I wanted to make sure I get it right. So I read it a couple times. I'm fairly sure everything I just said is totally accurate, and it makes absolutely zero sense to
Yeah, this is insane. Clearly, the answer here is military action. I mean, come on, this is just stupid. What are we talking about?
me. You can't take the listen. If I'm her and I'm the U.S., I'm like, listen. If y'all want to give the other girl a medal, that's fine, but we're not sending this back. We're keeping this medal.
Number one, we're keeping it, but then the official records about how many we won. Is she
It's
an official
bullshit.
medal winner? That's not fair to her.
No, it's not.
Not to mention, I think she's hanging with Devin Booker now. I saw a picture with him with his
Oh,
arm
word.
around her there in Gay Perry.
Okay, okay.
You
Well,
know,
maybe Devin can share his medal then. But no,
right?
at the end of the day, man,
Break
like
her off a piece.
why are we can't penalize the athlete because there was some sort of procedural mistake by the judges and by the officials. That's absurd, especially this many days afterwards. Like, I mean, she posted the heartbreak emoji, on her Instagram or whatever. I mean, can you imagine the elation of being like, "Yo, I got my first individual medal," and then a couple days later, they're like, actually, we're gonna we need you to go ahead and send that back to us." That's
That's insane.
insanity. They
That's insane.
can't do that. I mean, you got to figure out a way. And especially if this is an issue where we do end up having the video evidence to prove that we did everything was correct, but now you're saying it's too late when they were
The
the
too late
ones
line
that
is
did
stupid.
it like a day late. And like, what are we talking
Come
about
on,
here?
come on.
Just get,
So
especially
ridiculous.
if it's correct. Like if at the end of the day it was a thing where it came down to it, and it's like, all right, they made a mistake, but she really should not have. But if it is something where she really should have, but there's some technicality about how long you can submit appeals, that's bullshit. Like I just feel so terrible, for Jordan Childs, and it's just a shitty situation, and it seems like it's easily fixable.
You would think, but it's bureaucracy. It's this, it's that. Who knows what it all comes down to? But I think they'll get it figured out, especially with the next Olympics being here in LA. They're going to get it figured out very soon. I think so.
If you're feeling the content, or you think we are two loathsome, offensive brutes, and yet you can't look away, give us a thumbs up or a 5-star rating. Make sure you subscribe and/or hit that notification button on YouTube or wherever you're listening. New York Jets. They today got the news that the free agent defensive end, I'm sorry, the defensive end, not the free agent, that they traded for this offseason, Haason Reddick, has demanded a trade. He now wants to move on amid an inability to come to a contract agreement with the New York Jets. Joe Douglas has released a statement saying that we will not be trading him. I think this is absurd on his point. You said that there was a chance you thought this could happen. I don't even understand what he's trying to do. Talk to me, big guy. How do you
What who's
feel
trying to
about
do?
what Reddick's trying to do?
Right. What Reddick's trying to do. Listen, Nick. Okay. Couple things. First of all, what's his name? Connor Hughes.
Mm-hmm,
Very plugged in with the Jets.
mm-hmm.
He said now. He said before um, that there's absolutely no doubt when the Jets made this trade for this man, they spoke explicitly to his representation and told them what they expected. And he agreed to all of that. All of that. Okay. And this, I made sure I kept this just for this so I could read it. What this is why I was so confused by it, because this is what Reddick said at the press conference that he came to. He says, whatever happens, I'm gonna be happy. I'm going to give my all no matter what. That's just who I am as a person. No matter how it goes, how many years, I'm going to be here for however long I'm here for, and I'm going to give the team and the fans everything that I have. That's what Reddick said to the media at his presser. So my whole thing is, Nick, that okay, I get it, man. You know, we're in a fucked up situation here. Frankly, the Jets clearly shouldn't have, believed this guy and his representation. And here we are. But I also agree with Joe Douglas that no, 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 we're not just going to trade you, guy. You know, especially not with you making a public demand where we're going to get fleeced. Guess what? You're going to get fined until you come here and we can talk. The other thing is this, Nick. He's got people there on that team who that's the way the Jets do business. We're not going to negotiate with you while you hold out and do like that. There's got a couple guys coming up, important guys coming up, defensive backfield guys. I forget their names right now. Michael Carter and another fellow. I forget his name right now. Reed, probably. Reed, I believe.
Hmm.
Joe Douglas, that's not the way he does business. And I'm sure he's very clear with these guys about that. And all the guys who understand it and deal with it are getting rewarded. But I'm sorry, man. I wouldn't give this guy what he wants. And I think ultimately, when you look at the numbers he's losing, Nick, like I told you, that game Saturday cost him like $750,000.
He's up over a million total now.
Dude, he's looking at some serious dough he's losing. And the Jets have clearly said that the whole $14.5 million this year would have been guaranteed. I have a hard time imagining, Nick, that if this guy came into camp and was killing in camp and doing his thing, that the Jets wouldn't at least boost his contract this year. Okay? And I see that, man. You want us to just step up and give you $75 million for the next 3 years, and you've never played one down for us? You've never even been in our building, guy, except for the
Well, I mean,
pressing.
teams do that with free agents all the time.
Okay, that's fine. This wasn't free agency. This was a trade. Okay, this is the kind of way that the business works. We traded for you, guy. That's the way it works. This wasn't free agency. Let's not get it twisted. It's not even close to being the same. So, but that said, the guy deserves his money. He deserves a raise with the way things are now. I get it. He deserves the money. But come on in, man. I really think that Joe Douglas was straight up with these people when they made this deal. He just shouldn't have been believing that they were straight up with him. And like I told you, like Bart said, when this guy Brian Burns signed for like 30 million, that made this guy's head explode. And he's like, "Oh hell no," you know, which
Yeah,
sucks.
it's a very unfortunate overall situation. I mean,
Incredibly.
it seems as if everything that you said, as far as the back and forth that was had prior and the good faith that was exchanged, and something has changed. And I don't know if it was, Burns' contract. I don't know what it was, but at the end of the day, like, it doesn't make sense from either side. Guy, you're losing a ton of money. You're getting 14. Well, now you're getting 13. You know what I mean? Like, the Jets are in no, they're not in a situation where they have to move you. Okay. So you can
Right.
just sit there and they can just sit back and be like, hey, man, all right. Because, like, unless a team wants to come out and wants to give you a second round pick or better, what are we doing here? Because we gave up a third for him. So it's like, yo, unless we're improving on that investment, what's the point of us doing anything other than letting him come here and play for 14? Because that's the only choice he's giving us. He's not even coming in and giving us the chance to be able to say, hey, we're going to boost you up. Because like you said, that quote is you can't go back on your word more than he has since that initial quote
I
and that
mean,
initial presser. And I just think it's been dealt with really badly by him and his people, and it's not going to reflect well on him, in future negotiations with other teams, you would think. And it clearly is not helping him with his standing, over on one Jets drive. So I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. It doesn't seem like it's smart, and it doesn't seem like it's going to serve him well because he has zero leverage in this situation, and therefore the Jets are not in a situation where, like, they have to bend to his will and come out with some 3 for 75 and 63 guaranteed. That shit's not going to happen, guy.
no. Can you imagine if the Jets did that? How much it would infuriate some guys in their own locker room?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, man. I mean, you can't just acquiesce to a guy. Again, he's not a free agent. If he was a free agent, then he could have just said, "No, I'm not. Give me the contract, or I'm not coming," and that
Right.
would have been the way it goes. Yeah,
No, we traded for your rights, bud.
we traded for your rights, guy, and you said, "I'm all in. Let's go. Let's go." And
And you
now you're
clearly
just like,
said that. You clearly said that to us looking in when we were looking to make the trade. We checked in with you, and you
right,
did that. And now I don't know. The only thing is that I think that if the Jets, I hope that they didn't. I hope that they really detailed this and said, "Hey, man, we're gonna need you to come in. We're going to need you to come into camp, and we're going to get into camp, and we'll look at getting you closer to a number that is fair for you this year, and depending on how things go, we'll look about the future." I hope that it was a conversation that specific and not just like a, listen, you come on over here and we'll get things worked out. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I
I
hope.
have a hard time thinking is that left that loosey goosey simply because of the statement that's just made today, where they said we have been absolutely clear. They use words like that. We've been
Sure.
absolutely clear from the start. Come on, man. That's not leaving anything just laissez faire. I mean, this guy, he clearly changed his mind, Nick, and he has a right to do that. But there are consequences.
Yeah, well, luckily enough, Will McDonald and Michael Clemens both look good in the
Mm-hmm.
preseason debut against the Washington Commanders. I had to pause there. I almost said their old name. We had our guy Olu Fashanu. He looked good as well, and then
He
yeah,
did.
Edwards. He looked very very impressive carrying the ball. And
Really? Oh my God.
yeah,
He's a bowling ball. That guy.
he looked fantastic. Had the big 24-yard run. In general, was able to make decisive cuts, get downhill, and run through arm tackles.
Yes.
The 1-2 punch between him and our guy Brees
Reese.
Lightning could
Oh
be
my
something.
gosh.
Could be something special, man. Especially
Mm-hmm.
if we get this offensive line figured out. And the offensive line, we didn't have all of our starters out there, but overall, there's been some good things coming out of camp out about with the offensive line. I love that we're a lot deeper this year. We have the ability to withstand some injuries, but obviously, as always, the health will be the key. Anything else that you took from watching that preseason game against the Commanders?
Defensive backfield. I thought we did well. The kid JBC Converse,
Mm-hmm.
he got burned at one play early with Jaden Daniels down the right sideline,
Which he
but he
really didn't
played.
get burned at. He was right friggin' there. I
He was
mean,
right there. He was right there. It's a great pass, great catch. I
great,
mean,
great pass, great catch. I,
you
I hate when
know,
people say he did everything he could, because no, he didn't do everything he could. What he
he
could
didn't
do is
knock the
bat the
ball down.
ball away.
Right, right, right.
But he was, it
He's
was
right
it was
there. No,
pretty
no.
good coverage.
And he made a lot of good plays besides that during the game.
Yes.
I was watching him, and I like what I saw him. I saw some people write good things about Jamie and Sherwood and so forth. But every year we hear this guy's, on the come up. But what's going to
He's got.
happen in the
I mean,
regular
he's got a lot of really good players in front of him.
Right, and this is his third year. I really think we're going to see more production from him this year. Will McDonald, like you said, that spin move, I don't even know how that's blockable, frankly. I don't see anybody being able to block that spin move, especially if he's going against a right tackle. Um, and that roughing the passer call was bullshit, but we know that. But he does have to, like, what's his name?
Jermaine
Jermaine was
Johnson was
explaining
telling
to
him to
him.
put the hands
He's
out.
got to put the hands out, man. He's
Sure.
got to hit, wrap, and put the hands up, and then he's
Yeah,
okay.
it's today's NFL. I mean,
That's
at the
right.
end of the day, it's just too important, especially when you make a huge play like that, to be able to get that taken back.
Right.
And the
And he
Jets,
actually
we've
didn't even make the play. but
right. It was a, yeah, it was just a hit. But
right,
you know,
beautiful hit.
we've just seen, we've seen that, especially Jets fans, kill us recently in these
No
last few
doubt, no
years.
doubt, no doubt.
So it's like, yeah, we got to
But
make sure that we tighten that up.
all of that being said, with the whole Reddick thing, listen, Nick, do I want? I really, really want this guy Reddick to come in. I want him to play for the
Yeah.
Jets, but I still think we're going to be a damn good defense without
Oh
him.
yeah.
Okay,
That's one of the other reasons why he doesn't have the leverage.
he
It's
doesn't
not
have the
like a situation
leverage.
where it's like, oh my God, what are we gonna do if we don't have, no, no, no. We were just fine without that.
No,
Listen, we'll be
no.
just fine. Clemens,
Right.
I said, I was screaming last week, I gotta see it from this guy. And I saw it this past week. This week he actually showed
He's a
up on the
strong
film.
dude, man.
He was
He's a
actually making
strong
big plays.
dude.
There was that one tackle he had that where he just pushed his man back into the running back and threw him.
Exactly. He's the new ambassador of violence.
All right, okay. I don't know about ambassador yet.
That's
he's
the
still,
line for Joe Douglas, the new
I
ambassador of
know, I
violence.
know.
I love it.
I think he's still on the violence reserves. He's a volunteer. But no, man. Listen, I like what I saw out of Clemens. I thought that he played well. You know, out of a preseason game, you know, I took that. You know, we looked like somewhat competent. Greg the leg hit a big one. You
Hey,
know, we
how
looked
about
like
this backup quarterback, the guy from the UFL?
Peasley.
No, forget Peasley.
Oh,
Martinez.
you're talking about Martinez.
He was pretty good, Nick. He looked better than Peasley. Okay,
Um,
okay, he's playing against third stringers, but we need to see more of this guy, man. He had good feet and he had a good arm, man.
neither of them is going to be on the roster though. I mean, to
Somebody's got
practice
to play
squad.
behind Tyrod. Who's going to be third? Somebody's got to
What
keep behind Tyrod.
what about what's his name? What about Jalen the kid from Florida State?
He's not going to be ready to play till at least halfway through the year, if not for the whole year. They say he's a redshirt.
Okay, so we're redshirt him. So yeah, it's gonna be between these two guys. It's gonna be between
Right. That's
these
what I'm
two to see
saying.
who.
Give me the UFL MVP. This guy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I'm quite as impressed with him as you are, but
Oh, him and Stiggers. Stiggers from the Canadian League. He played well too.
he did. He did. I honestly now he's a guy where it's just like him and his overall story and everything like that.
Oh,
I
that's
just want to
awesome.
figure out a way to get him on. You know, there's going to be a tearjerker on one Jets drive about that guy in his
Oh
life
yeah.
or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But you know,
They're
hopefully,
producing it right now.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, we get a one Jets drive this week. I think.
I was actually just going to ask you about that, but then I realized no. If there was one, I would have seen it on YouTube already. But do we? So if we get one this week, it should get it
Probably
tomorrow night.
tomorrow. Probably
Oh, that's
tomorrow.
awesome. That's awesome. Let's go.
Yeah, I can't wait
Have you
for one
watched
Jets drive.
any of the Chicago Bears um, Hard Knocks?
No, I have not. Have you?
I have not. I've been meaning to, but I have not.
Yeah, I'm semi interested just because I want to, you know, I want to see, you know, Caleb Williams and you
Yeah,
know, who we're going to talk about here in a second. But yeah, I want to see, you know, him and I don't know, Hard Knocks. It's like it's one of those things that like it's hard for me to commit to sitting down and watch sometimes because there's like, you know, there's always something I'm backed up on that I need to watch, and when it's not
yeah,
the Jets, I'm not that
yeah,
interested.
yeah.
But whenever I do get into it, I always enjoy it.
I do, and I like it even when it's not the Jets. But I love it so much when it was the Jets. But it's an excellent, excellent program. It's just the production is fantastic. So
It is.
that's just why.
One Jets Drive is not far off, man.
No,
I'm
not at
telling you,
all, not at
One
all.
Jets
I think that
Drive,
I'm very impressed with that.
high level shit. I will say this. I gotta, you know, I gotta admit, I've changed my mind. I kind of want to see Rodgers play in the preseason, man. After this week one, I'm seeing all these. I'm seeing
He's already.
Joe Burrow's playing in the preseason. Come on, man. Joe Burrow's playing the season. He's rolling around. He's rolling out and shit like that. We need to get Rodgers out there, man. And you know,
Oh, now you
Orlovsky.
do want him to play. I thought
That's
you
what
said
I'm
you don't.
saying. No, I'm
Oh,
saying that I must admit that I kind of do want to see him play in the preseason now. I'm seeing Joe Burrow run around out
you know what
here. I'm
I'm
seeing
saying?
Patrick Mahomes, you know, freaking Josh Allen, and you
Patrick
know,
Mahomes played the first half.
that's what I'm saying, man. And you know, Orlovsky was talking today on Get Up or First Take, one of the two. He was saying something about the fact that you know, that Andy Reid, he runs a hard training camp, and he always lets Patrick play at least like the first, you know, like at least, you know, a half of one game.
Mm.
And it's because they want to start it and get rolling. And he was saying that he thinks that's trickled down throughout the league, which is why you see a team like Cincinnati where they're like thinking to themselves, hey, if we want to be able to have a home playoff game or possibly have the AFC championship game against the Chiefs, we need to be doing what they're doing. And yeah, man, listen, at least in that last game against the Giants, dress rehearsal. Just we have had issues with snaps and shit like that. Get him out
Right.
there. Give me one, maybe two drives, and then
At least
just
two, I
just
think.
just run
If not
around
a
a little
quarter.
bit. If he has one drive and he drives him down and he's 7 for 8 and they score a
Perfect. Right.
touchdown, then then okay, that's it.
Right.
But yeah, man, I know, and I know I said last week I didn't care that much. I've switched it up. I'm flip flopping on this. I want to see him play.
No, he does need to play, Nick. I mean, you need to practice the game of football. And when you haven't played, I get it. Aaron Rodgers has been around forever. He's 40 years old, blah, 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 4-time MVP. I get it. You still need to go out there and play to be able to play at this level, man. I mean, dude, man, like I'm telling you, man, when that first game comes, you don't want him to drop back and somebody comes up on him. And, I think a lot of people have problems at times understanding that you see this guy over there and you think you got time to do this, that, and the other thing. Then all of a sudden, what? I mean, I don't want to see that happen to him game one.
I'm not worried about like that happening to him game one as opposed to in the preseason. I think that he's, I don't think he needs to adjust to the speed of the game. I just
It's
think
not
that
just the speed, Nick. It's suddenness. It's speed.
it's not just the
It's
speed; it's the speed.
no, it's not just the speed. I'm saying it's speed, but it's like suddenness. There's a difference between speed and suddenness. I mean, he's just going to think. I don't know. I just think it's a good idea for anybody, not just Aaron Rodgers, anybody, to play at least a couple series before it gets live. Because what we don't want to see is Aaron Rodgers rusty that first game, first couple games. We can't afford to have that happen. And then, okay, now he picks it up game three and forward. That's a huge loss for us if that happens.
He won't be rusty. I would like to see him play. I don't think he'll be rusty. I think he'll be fine.
Okay. Then why do you want to see him play?
Just because Patrick Mahomes played and so did Joe Burrow. That's pretty much why.
So why do you think those guys play?
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
Because their
I see where
coaches
I see
want
where you're
them
going.
to practice playing real football, not Calico. You
I hear
know?
you. I hear you. I think that I the only difference in when you say real football for him when it comes to practice and when it comes to games is his ability to get hit. So
It's
I mean, he's
not
still
just him
playing
though, Nick.
things.
It's him, but it's him playing with the team. That
I'm with
entire
you. I
team
feel you on
offense
that.
revolves around him. They have to be able to know how to play with him in a real game. I don't think you want to do all of that the first real game of the season.
Fair enough. NFL rookies, especially the quarterbacks, showed out this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, who we got to
Mm-hmm.
see against the Jets, Penix Jr., JJ McCarthy, they all looked impressive in their
Mm-hmm.
debuts.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of this historic crop of quarterbacks coming in and looking very promising in their first games?
It's an interesting group. I've told you that, and the guy I really like. My dark horse is Penix. And I think he can, I think he can get some things done. Now, listen, he's not going to play unless somehow Kirk Cousins gets hurt, and I'm not wishing that on anyone. I surely wouldn't wish that on him. He used to be a very good player and really um, puts his best out on the field. But Penix is a good ball player, man. And listen, Caleb did his thing over with Chicago. I think he's got a real chance to make some noise because Chicago's got a good team around them. They seem to have gotten a good GM and all that, but I
How do they
don't
have such a
know.
good team and just had the I like a lot of people have been saying that, and people that are smarter than me, it seems like they definitely have some weapons and some things like that. I've even heard that their line's pretty solid, and they just had the number one pick. Like, make that make sense. Click
Well, they had the number one pick. Why was it? Why did they have the number one pick this
because they
year?
sucked last year. That's why.
No, and they gave up. Didn't they give up? Right, they sucked us last year, but they weren't the worst team in the league.
Dad, that's how you get the number one pick.
I know, but
That's
I
the
don't.
only
I
way
didn't
that you
think
get.
they were the worst team in the league last year. Were they? Did they have the worst
That's
record?
it's
I
it's
didn't
it's
know that.
straight.
I
It's
didn't
a
know if it
straight
was some
snake
sort
in
of trade.
NFL. No,
What?
they didn't trade. Yeah, no trade.
Right,
They
right,
didn't
right. No,
trade.
I'm thinking. You know what I'm thinking about? I'm
No one
thinking
trades
about
the number one
Charlotte.
pick. No one trades the number one pick in this draft with all the quarterbacks.
I'm thinking about Carolina. Carolina
Right.
did exactly that. They traded the number one pick and went back and took number two, right? Or did they? No.
It was 2 years
Who?
ago.
I
Carolina
know.
traded number one pick a couple
With
of years ago.
Stroud. Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's just
that
that's
didn't work
terrible.
out so exactly. That didn't
Not at
work out so
all.
well, which is why you
Wow.
don't do that when you
That's right. You're
which
right.
is why you don't do that. But yeah, man. I mean, they foobarred that entire situation. They had like number one and number two. They messed that whole situation up. But and then I thought this kid Jaden Daniels, I thought he
You
looked
look good.
good. He's that one throw that we talked about before. He put it in the only place he could to be caught, and then he shows the wheels with the
Hmm.
bootleg and gets the touchdown in that one drive.
Hmm.
Penix Jr. looked very, very, very good. He had a 41-yard gain to Chris Blair, and then McCarthy, he ended up having a pick, but overall looked pretty good. And then Bo Nix looked good
Right.
as well. Bo Nix was out there. I think he was 15-21 for 125 yards.
Wow.
And Sean Payton gave him some praise on his decisiveness.
Zach
He
is
looked good,
fast.
and yeah, man.
Did Zach play at all?
I don't even know Zach. Yo, what's going on with Zach? Zach might be in the UFL. He might be.
Exactly.
He needs to call the Rock
Right. Yo,
because
Rock, what's up?
yeah, no, he played. He played. How did he fare in the Broncos game? He was 10 of 13 for 115 yards,
You know
and
what
he
I'm saying?
led two touchdown drives on 5 possessions.
The Zach attack, baby. Lighten it up.
Yeah, you seriously. I really, your love for this guy and
No,
continued
I'm
support
joking
for
about
this
it
guy
now
throughout.
because he's
Yeah,
obviously
but
been an absolute disaster.
no, but you somewhat joke. But there's a part
I
of you.
tried to be supportive of him. I'd
There's a
still
part
love to
of
see
you.
him. I'd love to still love to see him turn it around, but
See that part. Who would love? Why? Why would you love to see him turn
because
it
I
around?
wanted him to be a good player when he first got in the league. I
And
was
he
hopeful
wasn't
for
for
the
the
kid.
Jets. So if he turns it around and becomes good now, it's even worse. Fuck
I'd
him.
like
I
to
don't
see
want him
him
to
be
be good. I do
a
not want to see him be
functional
good.
second
I want to
string
see
guy.
him out of the league and chasing cougars for the rest of his life. He's a
Oh,
bum.
Cougar. I was about to say, when was he hunting Cougar? Oh,
No,
now I
no,
get it.
no. He
Ding, ding, ding.
he's the milf hunter. That's what he is. And yeah, man, come on, man. I listen. It hasn't gone great for him so far. I know that I saw that he was like third in the depth chart behind Bo Nix and Stidham. And Stidham, I think that Bo Nix is going to end up being the starter there in very short order. And it's going to be about Zach whether or not he can end up being the backup or if he ends up on the practice squad.
I think
And
Zach is number two. He's going up that chart with a bullet.
okay, yeah. Again, your irrational love for this kid. It's just it makes absolutely no sense. It never made any sense. Listen, hey, this is our 50th episode. Okay, let's take a pause real quick and acknowledge that it is our 50th episode. I asked you to do this with me. I asked you to give me an hour a week, and you've done it so far. I'm very, very appreciative. But what it also gives us is it gives us some tape to be able to go back on and see how irrationally you support this guy Zach. And at certain points last year, we're saying, I don't know. I think he's the guy. He showed something. He showed me something in this game. He could be our quarterback in the future.
Nick,
You
if you
held
look
on
at
to
that
that. You
same
held on to that
tape,
later than any person ever.
okay, I did. But if you look at that same tape, we have you at points saying the same about Zach Wilson.
Oh, I'm irrational. I'm
No,
absolutely
no, no. But there were
irrational.
times when you were like, Zach is the man. I believe he's the guy.
I'm always
So,
listen.
so
As we said,
I'm just
mostly
maybe a little more
optimistic
loyal than
Knicks,
you.
Mets, and Jets fans. This is not about loyalty. This is about being just irrational when it comes to support of a player. And the thing about Zach is that when he sucks, I would say he sucks. You often would make excuses for him until it just got absolutely ridiculous to do so. And it was what it
And when
was.
it
But
got ridiculous, I gave up the ship. There you go. So,
yeah, I don't know. Today's episode, it kind of feels like you're still holding out hope for old Zachy boy, but yeah, man, we'll see how it ends up playing out for him as far as the Jets are concerned. Can't wait to get this season started. Would like to see A Rod play. Haason Reddick, come on, guy, what the fuck, man? Like, we
come on.
got a chance to do something special here. Come on in.
What are you
We've
doing?
shown prior that when players do the right thing, like Joe's a guy who will give you an in-season contract and boost you up a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. You know what I mean? Like we have that. He's just gotta give us at
There's
least a
no
chance
doubt
to
Joe
do
would
it.
do that. He would. There's no doubt Joe would do that. If he came in and was killing it next, the pressure from the I think the Jets would say to him right now, "All right, we'll give you 20 million this year. Come on in and show us something." And by mid-year, if he's killing it, the Jets would be throwing more money at this guy. Come on,
It
he could take our defense to such a high level, but.
Everything you said seems like it makes all the sense in the world to everybody except for Haason Reddick.
Come on, son.
Our New York Mets swept by the Mariners over the weekend.
No bueno.
The offense goes silent in Seattle.
Oh my
Just
God.
one total run scored in the entire series. Embarrassed on national TV on Sunday night, 12 to 1. Outscored 22 to 1 in the 3-game set. Still only a half game out of the wild card, though.
Ding, ding, ding.
Tough series, tough weekend. Talk to me, big guy. How we feeling about those Mets?
Listen, it's a bad, tough series, tough weekend. Can't give up the ship. Got to stick with them. Hopefully they get it figured out. We got Marte coming back probably this week. Got a couple of these relief pitchers coming back. Hopefully, we get it rekindled again. Listen, there was going to be a dry spell. We
Right.
knew that. It was coming. This is baseball. It's 162 games. The key is now for us to pick it up and somebody else to go into that dry spell, which will probably be, hopefully somebody like the D-backs or what's his name, or Atlanta, which we're neck and neck with right now. So, man, I believe we're going to pick it up. I hope we do. I think there's a dry spell out there for every team. Okay, between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, as you said, there typically is going to be ups and downs in a season. And for us to be, after a really tough weekend where we lose three straight to a team that has fantastic pitching and got some
Mm,
timely hitting over the weekend. I mean,
mm,
the fact that those guys have only thrown out 7 different starting pitchers the entire season is just an
unbelievable.
amazing stat. Their starters have been fantastic. They got some good arms out of the pen as well. Haven't been hitting too much over the season, had some injuries on that side of the ball. But, this weekend, obviously, they were able to knock us around a little bit, and we had some of our pitchers that have been some of our most dependable, and
Mm,
Mania being our hottest at the moment, and even he wasn't able to get the job done against them. So, a
no,
weekend to forget for sure. Nimmo, Alonso, Alvarez, JD Davis, all just,
JD Davis, JD Martinez.
Jet Martinez, I'm sorry, JD Martinez, all just, struggle bust right now. I mean, geez,
Very
man,
much so.
all of them it's just been a real tough go of it. They show you, Alonso will show you some sparks every once in a while. You think maybe he's about to get hot, and then it just doesn't happen. And Alvarez has just been in the absolute fucking tank. Martinez basically had like 1 6 week period, and other than that, he sucked. And Nimmo, after thinking like, okay, man, we got this guy, and he's the man for years to come, and then goes into the All Star break just ripping and roaring, and comes out of it. He got engaged over the All Star break. I don't know, man. You might need to reconsider, bro, because something
Exactly.
something ain't
She's a
going.
mush.
Something ain't working anymore for you, guy. I mean,
Yeah.
damn, man,
No.
he's been so bad since the breakdown. I mean,
It's amazing.
it's amazing how bad he's been. But as you said, only a half game out. Okay, the treading water as we always talk about, and then now it really comes down to me. These next 6 games you have against the A's and the Marlins. Okay, 4-2 minimum. Could
Gotta
really
be.
use a 5-1.
And then you
And
got the D-backs, right?
right
Soon
after
after
that,
that.
your next 10 are against the Orioles, Padres, and D-backs.
Wow.
D-backs are red hot. Padres are red hot.
And the Orioles.
Orioles are, been a
Strong.
solid team all season. So your next 10. So this we need like a 5-1 in these next in these next 6.
We
Get
need to.
rolling and then get into there. And then again, like I said last week, those Padres and those D-backs games are going to be of massive importance. They are currently the 1 and 2 in the in the wild card. We're right there with the Braves. I'm not even worried about the Braves. We're still 8 back against the Phillies, who have been scuffling now for quite a bit, and we haven't been able to close the gap because we've, went out and,
Scuffling as well.
SD exactly, and we go 4-6 on this road trip. Would have loved 5-5. Would have been okay with 5-5. Would have loved 6-4. And now these next 6 against some bottom of the rung teams, we have to take care of business.
Well, like the way you just laid it out, obviously with the schedule, after these 16 games
We're gonna
we
know what
got
time it
coming
is.
up, we'll know what time it is. Either
Yeah.
we're in it or we're not. It's going to be right there. So we're going to find out soon enough.
Yeah, yeah, we shall see. The Knicks got some scheduling news. Celtics opening night, third time in the last 4 seasons. Which I mean, that's we might as well just make this like an annual thing. Like the Cowboys playing on Thanksgiving. Like we should just play them on the first game of the season every single year. That is going to be super interesting. I love that we are
Yeah.
back to the marquee franchise that is opening up the NBA season. Obviously, we've always been a draw, even when we weren't that great. But it seems like we're right in the middle of all the big NBA nights, and being the opening night is going to be awesome. Going into Boston, showing
What's the
the
date on that again?
I want to say it's the 22nd, October 22nd. So we go in and then, we bust them up, blow them out, run them off the floor, and, put the entire NBA on notice from game one. And then Wemby comes to the Garden on Christmas Day.
Good stuff.
So, yeah, two interesting tidbits coming out about the schedule, two games to look forward to for sure.
Absolutely. I think I heard that the full schedule comes out on the 15th. So we're going to be able to see everything then. And yeah, man, listen, man, this is going to be the most anticipated Knicks season in quite some time. And since what? Since the 90s? Since 2000? Um, I mean, seriously, honestly, that 99 team that made it to the finals, nobody thought they were going to be that good. So it wasn't that anticipated a season, you know? They
Well, no,
weren't.
no. I know that we were the eighth seed that year, but going into the season,
We
did we
were. I
have
mean,
low
we weren't
expectations?
as hotly anticipated as we are now.
No,
Is all
not
I'm saying.
now.
That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that it hasn't been that since, like you said, in
No,
like 95, 96, 97.
right,
Some of that probably that's the last time
right,
that we've been a, consensus top five in the league and
right.
everybody's power rankings. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one for sure.
Man, I cannot wait. That it's going to be a very exciting time. If the Jets can just give us something to root about for the month of September, going into October, with the Knicks coming up, it's going to be, and then with the Mets in the series by then. So could be a good time.
Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. Really appreciate all the love. 50th episode. We're almost at 300 subscribers. Would have never thought that it would, have the reach that it's had so far and the success. And I'm just super, super thankful to everybody that watches, that listens, that subscribes, that likes, that tells their friends, that, gives feedback, that gives comments, even if they're negative comments. I don't care. Leave comments. Just really, really appreciative of all of the love that we've received thus far. And we promise we're going to keep it going. You can find us on all socials at he_did this to me. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.